One of the doctors was in a pink fairy costume with wings and a tutu and the cute little socks, the striped socks, and I think a wig too, a little bob, and they sat down and I had just gotten a plate of fried catfish, and that is my favorite food, and it is fantastic at the hospital, and I was so excited taking one bite, and I heard the words leukemia, and at that point all appetite faded away. I looked at my mom, who was in just as much shock as I was, and my name is Taylor Mangus, and I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia when I was 15. I've been missing school to go to the doctor that whole week, and then that Friday I woke up, and my normal routine, wake up at like 6 and blow my nose, and all of a sudden I started dripping like a faucet. I had a 3-hour nosebleed. It was awful. My first one ever, very unusual, and then of course my mom took me to the emergency room for the first time ever, and they ran a blood test, and they sent me to the ENT, the ear, nose, and throat doctor. He sent me back over to the ER and said, we need to do your blood test again. He said, something went wrong, we're just gonna double check it. And I think at that point he knew. And that Monday they scheduled a bone marrow biopsy, and they were able to do that on Halloween morning. And so around, I guess it was like noon, I had finally gotten food. I had finished the surgery. It was NP, I couldn't eat before because of the procedure. I had finally gotten some food. The doctors walk in, and we were told they were hematologists, so they studied blood. We weren't told they were oncologists. And sure enough, I hear, yeah, you have leukemia. We confirmed it. And at that point, I kind of went into like just question mode of like, okay, well, almost like crisis management. Okay, well, what's next? Well, what do we do? And then I heard, well, we need to get you started on chemotherapy. And I'm like, that's a big word. Okay, well, when? Like in a week, in a month? Like, how soon is this gonna happen? And I'm not knowing. And they said, like tomorrow. And I said, okay, well, are we gonna do it here? And they're like, no, we're gonna send you to St. Jude's. And I was like, I don't think I've heard of a St. Jude's that's local. Where's the closest St. Jude's? Oh, there's only one. Oh, okay, well, where's the one St. Jude's? Memphis, Tennessee. Oh, so you want me in Memphis, Tennessee tomorrow? Well, I have school tomorrow. I don't know if that's gonna work with my schedule. You know, when you get diagnosed, there's no like, okay, pick your plan that you want. It's, okay, you're protocol 16, here's your book, here's what we do. There's no, do you want it this way, do you want it that way? You don't have a choice. And I mean, we were just lucky. We were like, there's a plan? Okay, great, there is a plan. We have somewhere to go, we know what to do. But I mean, you know, sometimes the medications, the side effects are worse than what they're helping, and they're limited in what they can do. If there's so many chemotherapies and steroids that they have to have you on because, you know, to beat the cancer, and a lot of the side effects are kind of put on the back plate. It's just a back burner. It's not something that you really even kind of get told about, just because the priority is killing that cancer, because if that doesn't happen, there's no need to worry about side effects. On the way to a regular appointment, we would leave the day before since we had to drive so far. My mom was taking me, and on the way up, I'm glad she just told this story because I don't remember it. But according to her, I was turning yellow, jaundice, and I was in and out, and we'd gotten like a flat tire on the way, and I remember none of this, and we finally had made it there, and she had called ahead and said, something's not right with my kid. You know, she's not normally like this. And they brought me in, and after running some tests, they came back in and said, ma'am, she's got liver failure, her liver's not functioning, she's not receiving blood flow, there's nothing else that we can do. And if you know my mom, she did not take no for an answer. God bless her. She said, I'm sorry, no, there gotta be something. What else is there? Because she's beating the cancer, we're not taking no for an answer. There has to be something. Another doctor had come in a little while after that conversation and said that they had something on the market that wasn't FDA approved. It wasn't, it'd been tested on one other patient it had a 100% success rate with one other patient. So the chances were good, but it saved my life, and I was on that drug for 3 weeks in the hospital being monitored 24/7, and that is what cured my liver. One day I was in the hospital, and I was for like a 3-day weekend methotrexate, some kind of chemo, and I was just hanging out, and I wasn't really big on TV or anything, so I was just kind of, you know, I guess on my phone, and the child life specialist came in and brought me she said that she was surprised, and she'd pop in every once in a while, so I was real comfortable. I was really used to seeing her face, and she came in and said, I have something for you. She said, and I really think you're gonna like it. She goes, but it's a doll. And we had talked about how I, growing up, did not play with dolls. They were not my thing. I was always into, like, I don't know, the guy stuff, footballs and sports and that kind of playing in the, you remember when we were little. I was never really super girly, and she came in with a bald Barbie doll, and I still have it to this day in my room on my dresser, because I was bald at the time, and that was a huge deal for me, was losing all my hair, which was about this long when it fell out, and it came back exactly the same way. It made me feel like I wasn't alone. And a huge part of this is you feel so isolated, you feel so alone. Why nobody else in my school is bald or has cancer or can't walk or has to have knee surgery or ends up with liver failure or ends up with a scar on their neck because their port that they had, they had to get two because one got not infected, it made a blood clot in my heart, and so that had to come out, and then I had to get a PICC on, and the complications along the way. You think, like, even the kids who have cancer, they don't have to deal with all those things, and so it can really get to a point where you're like, man, I feel like I'm the only one going through this, and you're not, though, and it's hard to remember that in the moment. But the beauty of having cancer is that birthdays are a huge deal to me now. Every day is a huge deal to me now. I wake up and I literally say a prayer and say, I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be breathing, because I've had days where it hurts to breathe. I've had days where it hurts to move. I had days where I couldn't lay more than a sheet on me, and I was freezing and had fever, but I could not handle the weight of more, like, I know that sounds crazy, but I couldn't handle the weight of more than a sheet because I weighed 100 pounds and couldn't brush my teeth, couldn't walk. I couldn't do things like that. But I really want to study hematology and specialize in pediatric oncology. I think that is my calling. I remember nurses that would stop by after their shift had ended and come by and say, hey, you're not my patient, I just heard about you and I wanted to come by, because there aren't many kids in the hospital that are older with leukemia. There are lots of little ones, but I heard that there was a teenager in here with leukemia, and I just wanted to say that, when I was 14 or 15, when I was your age, I had that. I had ALL too, and now I'm a nurse, and so you just hang in there and it gets better, and you're not always going to be like this. And I cannot express how impactful that was. So whenever I tell somebody that I want to go into pediatric oncology, their initial reaction is, oh, that's so sad, and that's so depressing, and that I could never work there. You're going to get exhausted, you're going to burn out. And when people think that it's just such a sad and scary field or topic, I'm like, no, it's beautiful. There's so much beauty in there, because those kids that are hurting and in pain have this zest for life that I've never seen. You walk into a hospital that's treating child cancer patients, every single one of them has a smile on their face. One might be crying and screaming like any other kid, but that's the thing. They're acting like kids. It doesn't take away from the fact that they are, I'm gonna cry about it. It doesn't take away from the fact that they're really a kid, and their childhood is kind of stripped from them, but cancer research and awareness is how they get it back, and how they can survive that and come back to terms and be okay and get to live a full, healthy life. And it's not a scary field, it's beautiful. I had no idea that it was 1 in 5 that don't make it. I didn't know that. It seems about right. I was saying earlier how you try to build a support group when you get to when you're in the middle of your phases, and you kind of you know what your days are, you know what medicines you're taking, everything kind of becomes more normal for you in that time, and you try to meet other people and other families and kind of find some of that normalcy and that you crave so much. But it's so hard, because so many of the friendships I've made, I've lost because they're not here, and that 1 in 5 number seems about right. For our future. I think kids are the reason that we do a lot of things. Kids are the reason that I had an egg harvest. When they told me that the chemo had affected my fertility levels at 21, my levels were nowhere near what they should be. So I spent 2 weeks in Tennessee and was like, okay, I want to have kids. I want to have a future. That's part of why I'm trying to get an education. That's part of why I want to be a nurse. I want to build a future and have babies, and I want them to be healthy, and I want the babies that are not healthy right now to eventually one day get to have that too. I want them to have their fairy tale, their happy ending. Join the Fight for 5.